Hello there, welcome to another weekly devlog. This is Terror X and my dev diary. I'm going to try to make this short, but we know how that turns out. This week has been kind of busy at work, and this weekend I've got some very important work. I'm doing some sweeping changes to an entire SharePoint site, and it's live. So I have to do it on the weekend, pretty much. It's going to take many hours. So that said, I won't get much time this weekend, so I'm going to go ahead and put out the diary. Um, so this week's been kind of a fruitful week. I got about half the time I normally get, but I was able to get a lot done in the short amount of time that I had. So first off, you see that I've added a Q button down at the bottom. We got our build, we got our system menu, and now we have Q, which says building menu, but I'll fix that later. That is actually a quest log. See, we have a quest log now. Looks kind of empty, but that's okay. We're going to change that. Before I get to showing you all this stuff, let's go over the change notes real quick. I worked on the quest system a lot this week. I did add in stores, but only in a rudimentary fashion. I just put the UI in place and some of the UI interaction, like closing it and opening it and stuff like that. The quest system started out that way, but I actually had more time than I had planned, so I managed to get a lot done. My objectives when I started this system was, number one, the quests have to be self-contained. I want them to be an object, self-contained, be able to attach to locations, items, props, or npcs. So I want them to be very versatile. And I want a quest to be able to be moved from actor to actor. If an actor is destroyed or moved or something like that, I can programmatically or manually move that quest from one place to another. And it doesn't affect the player. The player can still complete the quest, can still talk to the NPC and stuff like that. The quest needs to be non-programmer friendly, in that just about anybody can just create and drop these in the world and attach them to an actor. And the quests have to be easily organizable and identifiable. So you can put them in folders, and organize them however you want, so that you can look at an entire quest chain and they have IDs associated with them, and the name helps to do that as well. So the quest system status, I created the initial quest module, which is very, very deep. It's got a lot of code in it, and I created an icon that I added on the nameplates. So let me go ahead and start going through some of this. Grab a weapon, because I know somebody's gonna invariably come and attack me while I'm doing this, because it always happens. So I added a quest icon, the little question mark. At some point later, we're going to actually change that to be a question mark hovering above their head when you have quests available on that NPC. Right now, it's not tied to your character. It's just if that character gives out quests. Same thing with the cash shops, the vendors. They have a $sign above their head, letting you know that they actually they are a vendor. Also, if you look down in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, the what the fuck widget actually shows it that is a friendly vendor, and that is a quest giver. And same thing with this guy in here, he's a quest giver. Originally I had one guy that wasn't giving out quests, but I wanted to be able to, I didn't have enough NPCs in this area. I wanted to differentiate between a single quest and multi-quest. So this guy has a bunch of quests available. This guy out here only has one quest available. So, all right, let's see. We've already showed the quest log, so we got that. Let's go ahead and talk to this guy. He says, "Hey, locate Sherry, blah blah blah." And this is a modular questing system. They have objectives and stuff like that. That's the actual objective at the top, and that's a list that you can scroll on. I didn't make it obvious and put a lot of objectives in any one of them. My wife left home early this morning. That's just details of the quest, and it's one of my to-dos is add in rewards. I haven't got a reward system, but you can reject the quest, which allows you to get it again. You can accept the quest, which now it's accepted. When it's accepted, it goes into this is a side quest. It goes into my quest log. Locate Sherry's details. There's all that right there. I need to work on this. The border. I tried to import a slate brush, and I was doing some work with slate brushes. It does work, but The graphic, I'm not good at Photoshop or anything, so the graphic was terrible and it was way too big. So when it scaled it down, it doesn't even look like there's a border around it. But anyhow, I'm not going to dwell on that. So that is a side quest, that guy. So go over here to talk to this dude right here. He's got multiple quests available and one that we can't see because our level is not high enough. So humble beginnings. I need to work on the sorting of those quests and make them so they sort a certain way every time. I haven't done that yet, but they just sort by the number that they were when they were attached to him. So humble beginnings. Talk to the guard. Purchase a ring from the guard. Create a distraction, which is a kill quest, and there's a snake in my boot, which is a kill quest as well. You'll notice I also have settings in the thing that tells you the difficulty of the quest based on your level, assuming you have a raid party of 10. This is a raid quest. This is a solo quest. This is a group quest. Not really, but that's how I'm showing these off. And it tells how many people you should have in your group or raid. So also you'll notice that since I clicked on this quest, locate Sherry, it shows up on my screen right here, locate Sherry as a task. I currently have that only to show one task. I want, in the future update, I want to have that show multiple quests and their objectives underneath them. But this was just a starting point. You know, I can put on humble beginnings and it'll switch it and it tells you humble beginnings objectives. For now, let's focus on Sherry. Let's go over here. The only quest objectives that I can complete right now are location objectives. I haven't gotten around to the item, interaction, collection, and kill quest just yet. She's actually right here. This is where the trigger is. And, you know, in most cases, I would have it prompt and say, yeah, this is a new zone or something like that. But in this case, she was actually here and there was a location and you would see an NPC sitting here by a well or something like that, whatever. This doesn't update by itself currently. It's something that because of the way that I'm going to be changing this around and making it show multiple quests, I decided not to have it auto update just yet. But if I click on it in here, I can update it. The server has that information and knows that you completed that quest, but it's basically an active quest log. So I click on a quest in here, that says that quest is active. Instead, I'm making it so there's a hidden checkbox that I've got on here that I'm going to be making it so that you can check these boxes and set them a certain number of them. Maybe I'll limit a number of quests that you can put in your quest log or quest tracker that will track those quests just going down. You know, quest 1, do these things, quest 2, do these things, and check mark by the objectives when they're, and remove the objectives possibly, or make them expand. I don't know. I need to do some work on this object right here, which is basically why I don't have kill snakes. Stop swinging. Which is why I don't have that updating automatically. Anyhow, I did have it updating, but then I realized you never just work on one quest at a time. You have a lot of quests in your quest book usually, or a few at least, and I don't want to lose track of one just because I have another one. Now, that active quest is going to be possibly an indicator under your feet showing the direction in which the quest is. That's something I might do. And if I leverage the compass, I might have a marker on the compass, or if I do Skyrim style, there might be a marker across the screen telling where in relation to your location where that quest item is. So that's a little bit later down the road. I just wanted to get the framework in place. So any of these, they don't disappear from his list. This list is not the best way to do this. I'll probably have this subdivided as well into available quests and active quests. But for now, this works. It doesn't let you, it doesn't take them off the list until they're completed. But you can see that it no longer has me accepting them. It just tells me information about the quest. Now this guy out here, on the other hand, I actually completed Sherry, but I don't have the logic in to say, hey, if all the tasks are completed, go ahead and complete that quest. Because I don't even have a reward system in. So anyhow, that's the quest system in a nutshell. Any questions? It was a lot of work. I did add rarity. So the difficulty of quest is going to be based on the rarity. But it's all manually put in. When you put in the quest, you tell the difficulty of it, you tell the rarity of it, and you tell the level requirements and all that stuff. So I think you would have to personally say, okay, I'm rewarding this legendary item. So this is a legendary quest, and I need to make it, instead of killing 5, you need to kill 100, or something like that. Or instead of killing this NPC, I got to have you kill this NPC boss. So there's going to be some logic that you would have to apply when you created your quest. That's not automatic. The rarity is just there so that you can give the players an indication of the reward slash difficulty of the quest. I still have some work to do here in the log. I've got to obviously add the tracker. I need to put some tabs in here so that we have a completed quest versus active quest. So you can see all your completed quests, and they just are added into the log. Some structure to it, like story quest line. Most games have a sequential quest line, so I want that to be kind of like chapter and verse. In my head, I can see it where each chapter has its different quests associated with them, so it would look like a hierarchy, and that would also apply to your completed quests. Side quests, sometimes they're a chain of quests, so they would probably show up in the same hierarchy. Like Humble Beginnings, you'd have part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Part 1's kill snakes, or part 1 is get me a ring. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So that's the quest tracker. Can't actually turn off the tracker now. It's just all or nothing. But eventually, when I have the check, that's what, when I was thinking about it, I was like, I need the ability to track multiple quests and to turn off the tracker if I have no quest tracking. Um, so that's what made me think I need to have checkboxes here and design this so it isn't an active quest tracker. The active quest will be the one that I'm looking at right now, and I want to know the location of it in relation to myself. Instead of having multiple arrows on the ground telling multiple destinations, it'll just have one saying this is your active quest and this is where you need to head. And then you can, I'll probably have it so that you can switch it up here and grab the focus of the mouse and switch the actual active quest on this one as well. This is like a mini version of your quest log. I mean, everybody's familiar with it. It's I modeled this kind of after World of Warcraft, sort of. But I did my own thing. Um, I think it looks pretty good. If anybody has any questions, comments, or suggestions, if you think it looks good, hey, by all means, let me know. I know that I need to get around to putting question marks above people. Um, and probably the vendor will have like a I don't know, vendor icon above them. Chat people will probably have a chat icon. I don't think that I will indicate a chat icon above the person. That's going to take the place on their bar. It'll be a little chat icon saying, hey, this guy's got something to say. You can talk to him, but not necessarily a quest giver. So let's see, is that all? Oh yeah, stores. I did add a store in, but it's not an active store. It's just the framework of it, this screen. Um, it's going to be just like the quest system where you drop a store onto a character or onto a place. You can actually drop a store onto a crate, potentially, or a block of wood out in the forest. Any object in the world, I want to be able to have the store interface, because the store interface is going to be done the same way as crafting interfaces and stuff like that. It's just an object that attaches to another object that lets you know that object is interactable. When you interact with it, this is the screen that I want you to display. So that's kind of where that comes from. And these stack on each other. So obviously this guy's a quest giver, but if I want to have it so that if he's a quest giver and he's a vendor, there's a tab there or something to let you know that this guy's also a vendor. So maybe when I hit OK and I close out of that, it opens up the vending machine. I don't know how I'm going to do that just yet, but I want them to stack. So that way, if it doesn't work really well with NPCs, but if I click on a forge and there's a quest associated with that forge, the quest will override it first or have tabs, and it'll say, hey, there's active quest for this forge. So that was my general idea. I wanted it to be very, very modular, very open-ended, so that you can do just about anything with this system. Quests to dos, as I said, I want to eventually put an icon above the character, a floating icon. I think those are pretty cool. I like those in games. Um, I've still got to add the collection interaction and kill quests. I do have the completion for a location. I still need to add like the nice little display when you level up and when you certain activities happen. It displays like a billboard saying you entered this location, things like that. Those that will kind of tie into the quest because when I reach this location, it should say you found Sherry or something to that effect. Sherry is nearby. I don't know. That was just an example quest. That's not really a practical example, just something I threw in there. The ability to track multiple quests, I mentioned that. The quest log, it is only a prototype. It needs to be rebuilt. I know there's a lot of work to be done here, but it is clean. It's a very clean interface and it does work very well. So I just want to do some modifications to make it a little bit better. Probably move this guy over. I gotta, just make it look better. I think I'm on a good. It's heading in a good direction. I think as far as cleanliness and everything. Another to do was I need to archive completed quests and make them show up in the completed quest area. I need to do a complete graphics overhaul of my UI. That's just the whole UI needs to be overhauled. That's been on my to-do list for a while. So other things. Now when you log out and log back in, which I'm in editor right now. This isn't actually a live server. Well, it is a server, but it's the editor server. It's not standalone. It actually saves your location now. See, if I was there, if I go over here to that area and I log out there, which obviously we're not going to let people just hit escape and log out. It's actually going to be more like, you click the log out button, wait 30 seconds, something like that. You notice we saved ourselves over here. So that's something else that I added in. The saves the state of the character, the location that they're at. Let's go over to my little notes here. I did do some temporary map cleanup. This map had some issues. Still has some issues with the foliage actors and stuff, but I'm not too worried about it because I've been working on a new map level that is about 9 times the size of this one. It is streamed and uses world composition. Um, I'm not really sure how the map is going to end up because I'm looking into what is the name of the company? They do voxel maps or voxel pixels. So I'm looking into potentially having a voxel map that you can actually edit the ground, but I don't know what the implications of that are. And I've seen the examples and they aren't the greatest. It's supposed to be high performance, but we'll see. I don't know how that's going to play out just yet. I would love to have terraforming or landscape deformations like Life is Feudal or something like that. And there are some companies out there. I think I could pay like $200 to get this voxel technology that I could plug in, but I need to be able to play with it, and they do offer the ability to play with it. But that's going to be a shard where at some point I'm just going to break off my build and do a shard and say, okay, I want to plug in this voxel system and give this a try for landscape. Um, so there's that. Let's see. And I tinker around with post-processing because this is the default highlighting of characters. It's okay, but I wanted to get a thinner line on them. And post-processing, what it does is every actor, you can isolate an actor and show the silhouette of that actor, and then you expand that. And I've got the math in there, and I've played with it. Actually, let's see. Did I just disable it? Let me see if I can enable it real quick. World, post-process. Oh, I took it out completely. Let's add this back in. Reference. Let's see, which one was it? Oh, I don't even remember which one this was. I think it was this one. So let's try this out and see what happens. But I did play with it some just to see what I could do, but it wasn't really working as intended. That didn't even take effect, so post-processing volume. It is enabled. Let's try this again. I think I just chose the wrong one. I did a whole bunch of them. No, it's not working. I had a golden outline around it, but what it was doing, it was compounding with the base filters. So it had his little white outline, and then it put a little small gold outline around it, trimming him. And at certain points, I could get it to work in the editor only. When I was looking at it in the editor, when I actually played the game somehow applies its own post-processing filters to that, and it's a custom depth field, and I don't know how to disable the default, so it was just layering on top of it. Blah. It was just something I was looking into, no big deal, just it was cool to play around with it and dig into it, and there's actually quite a lot of vector math behind it. If I can find it, I could show you on this screen. PP post process. Is that in the wrong place? Yeah, there. PP. Pew pew. Oh, that's an instance. That's not going to do anything. So this is part of the post processor. Let's see. That's an instance. That's not going to do anything. There's the custom depth map. And as you can see, I looked up a tutorial online. I did not come up with this myself. I was looking up tutorials on how to do this, and it's really in depth and really tough. It's a lot of math involved just to put an outline around a character. So I think I might end up staying with the default built-in depth field because it does work. I don't like it. I don't think it looks too pretty, and eventually I'll probably end up changing it. But for now, that's just not worth the effort to go through all of the headache of the math involved in just that one thing. I would rather work on quests, which is what led me to quests. Um, and as I said, all these, like the building system and the quest system, are modular. Those modules, if enabled, add these buttons to it. If I take out the building module off of my character, then the building button doesn't even show up. So with that said, I can disable somebody's ability to build at certain points in the game, or I can just disable the entire building system for that character if I wanted to. And that's kind of how I'm building this. And those little icons kind of represent modules that I've added. And as that keeps growing, it's going to look silly, but the point of it is that each one of these can independently be disabled, does not affect gameplay whatsoever. Well, I mean, the core mechanics of the game. You can still fight and do all this stuff. The ability system will be one of those that will be a module. So I can actually jack somebody's entire ability tree just by disabling that module on the character. But giving it a component design like this kind of packages all of those functions, code, and functionality, and UI, and everything into one little place. So I only have to edit it in that one place. I don't have to go elsewhere and start editing everything all over the board. It's kind of let's see. I got colors to show you. That's the modular building system. That's the quest system, and everything is packaged under here nicely. So it's, well, that needs a little bit of organization, but it's all up under here. All the meshes, the materials, the blueprints, just like my quest system. I've got my quest module itself, the objectives, and all the quests. And I just put them all under the same tree for now, but you could actually organize that and have multiple quest fields in there. Eventually, I want to get around to doing tutorials on this stuff, but it's I've been asked if I wanted to stream it or if I was willing to stream it, but the problem is streaming this would be very, very boring. We're talking 2 to 3 hours of work, sitting down. You do a bunch of stuff, and on a stream it's difficult because I've got to do a bunch of stuff, and then invariably something's going to go wrong. So I end up going back and forth, testing, identifying different issues. Okay, I know this is going to cause an issue, but what's it going to cause? Go ahead and test it. Find out that issue. Go back to the board. Make some alterations. And then you get about halfway through it and you're like, oh, shoot. I couldn't use an actor. I need to actually use a structure. And then you have to rewrite the vast majority of how everything works to utilize a structure instead of an actor and stuff like that. The reason why I said that is because quests are actually saved to your character. So if I log out, obviously I've logged out a few times, I still have my quests in here and they're still completed. Just with my location, my items, and all that stuff, that's all stored. I think if you're building an MMO, and I've watched a couple of videos, and kudos to those guys, they've got some really good videos out there, like Ryan something or other. He says, let's make an MMO. But his methodology is, and I love this guy's videos because they lead me in a good direction. And I actually watched his video series mostly. I haven't finished his video series, but he's got some really great ideas on quest systems. And his way that he does it, that's what I'm trying to mimic. Instead of reinventing the wheel and coming up with this, all by myself from scratch, I definitely beg, borrow, and steal other people's ideas. If he's got a good idea. Mine obviously does, it looks similar to his, but it looks very different. I actually implemented a lot of functionality he didn't have, and I did mine to some degree a lot differently than he did in the background. He uses actors and attaches the actor to the character when you grab the quest. Well, there's a problem with that. Anytime you're building an MMO, you have to think about replication, which is good on actors, but you have to also think about how you're saving it. And the only way that you can save an actor component to a character that has a structure in it or any kind of information in it, variables and stuff like that, this is getting kind of technical, is to convert it to a binary object. And that requires C++, which I can do. And I considered it when I was watching his videos. But I'm trying to keep this all blueprint driven. And in order to do that, until I hit a roadblock that tells me this cannot, I'm going to have to implement C++ code, then I want this to be as blueprint accessible as possible from beginning to end. So while I could simply write about, I don't know, 500 characters worth of C++ code to convert it to binary and then convert it back when you load it, that's not accessible in Blueprint. That's not something you can do in Blueprint. So what I did is I used structures instead, and he uses actors. So I used a combination of the two in the end and come up with a pretty good result. So what I'm getting at is that, you watch the videos. Don't feel like you're stealing their ideas. They're teaching you how to do things. And I could have spent probably twice the amount of time coming up with this by myself, but watching his video and following along with it, I was like, okay, I can do this. Now, streaming it wouldn't be, he's referring to notes that he has taken while he's doing these videos. It's not like he's doing this live. He's redoing it. He's already refined his process. This is what works for him. He will make some mistakes along the way, but he's redoing it. That's the kind of tutorials I want to get to. to where I take the products that I have, which will be in many cases similar to what somebody else has done, and you may even see a video that's like, wow, you're using the same, it looks just like what that guy did. Well, it is. I just put my own twist on it because mine is a true MMO. Everything is replicated. Everything is acted on by the server. The client just shows the information. I keep security in mind where his quest, the way that he builds his quest is built on the player character locally. So he's even referencing the local player character many times, which that's not necessarily bad, but when you're in an MMO type environment, you can run into some problems when you reference the local character. So what you want to do is you want to use the get owner of or get the pawn controlled by, things like that, so that you're not referencing, okay, player one. Because what if I wanted to turn this into a local co-op game? Well, player one is not always the player that we're going to be referencing, but the controlled pawn of that controller would be referenced. I'm sorry, I'm going kind of deep there, but at any rate, there is a specific methodology and way to make an MMO, and that's the ideology that I am applying to this, so that everything is extensible, it's replicated, it's server secure, information is not held on the client to give away. Anything that is not needed by the client is not there, because I don't want them to be able to, I could personally bring up a hex editor, throw in a memory reference or a reference to the memory running the process, pull up the memory addresses, and with enough time, I could probably find out what information is being passed back and forth. So when I pick up a quest, I could find out all the objectives, potentially edit that objective and say that it's complete, pass that back to the server. I don't want people to have that ability. So all that's handled server side. The client just receives information from the server saying, here's what to display on your screen. That's what this quest log is. Um, but things that can be done on the client, like I want to track this quest and this quest. So if I click on the tracking button on these two quests, then that's just my client is the only thing that cares about that. My active quest that I'm actively pursuing, my client cares about that. The server doesn't care. The server just cares if you complete it or not. So those are things you have to keep in mind. And a lot of people's, what do you call it? Tutorials that they put out there don't relay that information. And when I do get around to making tutorials and going over some of this stuff, I I want to make sure that people are aware of how to build an MMO securely and how to have that in your head every step of the way as you're building something. Does the client need to know this? Does the client need to be, does it need to be something that the client has actionable? Or is the server going to actually be handling this stuff? We can always pass it to show it on the screen, but we don't want it coming back to the server unless it's like, okay, um, the server notices you hit this location, so it's going to complete that task. Uh, Things like that. If I'm acting on something and need the server to be aware of it, then that's the only instances where I would actually pass information from my character to the server, which is quite rare because usually you can do that on the server side. My interaction, your movement and stuff like that is probably one of those cases. Um, I'm telling the server to equip an item. Well, I don't equip it. The server equips it and displays it on my character. I pick up an item. I'm not actually picking it up. I'm telling the server that I'm clicking on the item. The server is going to say, hey, you're picking that item up, and it puts it in my inventory or equips it or whatever. So that's how that works. At any rate, I think I made some really good progress. I've got my build system with the grids. I'm pretty happy with that. I can actually, if I get out of the area, I can place these down. I got grid snapping, so I can snap to blocks. I can even adjust the height to a degree. As long as I can see that block, I can actually adjust it, which allows me to make sure that it's not clipping on the ground. That's kind of cool. I can turn them. I got, quite a bit of stuff in the building system. Now I got the quest system in there. I got stores, kind of, but there's still a lot to be done, especially on the quest and stores. You know, I don't even have rewards. I can't even complete a quest. I can complete an objective, but I can't actually complete the quest itself. I just don't have that mechanism in place yet. So that's what I've gotten accomplished this week. That's really all I got for you. So you guys have a great week. Again, like, share, subscribe, whatever. Tell a friend. I don't publicize this other than on these videos. You're not going to see advertisements on forums or anything like that. To a degree, it's kind of a tightly kept secret. A lot of my best, closest friends don't even know that I'm developing a game. There's only a few that actually frequent my Discord, and there is a Discord link down in the comments. And as always, I will post the dev notes down there in the comments as well. You guys have a great week. Thank you for watching. Bye.